there, fellow explorers.
Today we're going to tell you about one of our latest and greatest vacations, Paris.
It was so incredible. I'm walking through what we did while we were there and little tips and tricks along the way to help you when you visit Paris. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Allons-y! Where are they going? What'll they see? It's J&T Exploring! So our sojourn to Paris began with a very long flight.
It was a rough one.
Yeah. We're very fortunate in the fact that we live next to an airport that's pretty well connected. So there is a non-stop flight from here to Paris, which is what we booked. But there was a heat wave going on and the fuel wasn't enough, or they couldn't fill the fuel tank enough. Anyway, long story short, our non-stop flight ended up to 12 hours sitting on a plane. But that's fine.
We made it. So once we left the airport, we hopped on the RER and took it to Les Halles station, where our hotel, or I guess it was actually an apartment, was that we stayed.
It was nice. We stayed in the first, just next to the Louvre. The place we stayed is called the Louvre Apartments, and I would highly recommend.
They were great.
Yeah, the people in the office were so friendly, and the room itself was beautiful. We had these two windows that overlooked the street and you could see the Louvre. There was a beautiful cafe outside. I loved it. And there was a washer and a dryer, so it was so convenient.
And there's a small kitchenette, so like if you want to eat in a couple nights, which you probably won't want to because you're in Paris, but...
Oh yeah, we did not eat in. I ate French food. And once we had decompressed from a 12-hour flight and got everything into our apartment, we sort of just wandered around the neighborhood for a second.
Yeah.
We wanted to get a layout of the neighborhood because obviously we wanted to know places to eat or, things around the area. There were a bunch of really good caveries in the area, and that was nice. So there was one that we went to multiple times. And most importantly, we found the boulangerie that we were going to go to for breakfast literally every morning.
Oh, the best croissant I've ever had in my entire life.
If you're in that area next to the Louvre in the first, go to Boulangerie Julienne. It was so good. We went there for breakfast every day, and we got a picnic lunch to take with us one day. We got some macarons. It was so good.
Yeah, we highly recommend it.
Then after exploring the neighborhood for a while, we got all gussied up and we went out to a Michelin star restaurant in the area called Benoit.
The food was delicious. It's this teeny tiny little restaurant. It's like hardly bigger than one room. And the staff was incredible, so kind. And I know what you're probably thinking, like Michelin star, like fancy, hoity-toity. It wasn't. It was very like, not casual, but like not crazy fancy.
No, but that's the thing though. That's the thing. I think there's a common misconception when it comes to like fine dining, is that it's gonna be like snooty.
It wasn't.
And I have yet to go to a really nice restaurant that's actually like snooty.
Yeah.
It's always very accessible and casual, and the food was ridiculous at Benoit.
So delicious.
They brought us out with the bread course a dish of butter that was this big, and I was like, who could eat that much butter?
We did.
We did. It's French butter.
It's so much better than American butter.
Oh my god. So good. Go to Benoit if you get a chance.
Yeah.
And then after dinner, we went back to our room and opened a bottle of wine that we got from the cavery and just sat and overlooked Paris.
It was just a chill night.
Sometimes I forget. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we talk about, I'm very grateful for our life.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that I was able to sit with a nice glass of wine in my chair overlooking just like Paris.
So the next morning we got up pretty early. We headed to Boulangerie Julienne, got our coffee, got a croissant, and we started our day. This was our museum day. So we started at Musée d'Orsay, which I absolutely loved.
Oh yeah, it's in it used to be a train station.
Yeah.
They have Monets, they have Van Goghs.
There's a lot of impressionist work on the top floors. In the like main part of the museum, you have Rodin and there's a lot.
Yeah, there was like a whole exhibit all about furniture.
Yeah, there was. It was a great museum. I loved it.
Wait, it was one of those moments where it was like surreal, right? Where you've seen a thing so many times and then you see it in real life and you're like, oh, I guess it's a real thing. So like being this close to like a Van Gogh painting or like a Monet painting You're like, oh.
Oh, one of my favorite things is they have Starry Night, but they have the original version of Starry Night because secretly there are 2 different ones, and I bet you don't know what the original one looks like, because I didn't.
Yeah, I like the original one better.
Yeah.
Than the second one, which is the only one I thought existed was the second one.
Yeah.
Museums teach people things. Merci.
And then we had lunch at the cafe.
Oh.
In Musée d'Orsay.
That was so good. It was like the best Caesar salad I've had in my life.
Yeah, we both had a Caesar salad.
Also, I'll put a picture in. The room that the cafe is in?
Stunning.
It's ridiculous. There's so many moments in France where I was like, is this just casual? Is this just how like people live here? Crazy.
There's also, if you love an Instagram moment, at the top where they have the impressionist work, there is, you can take a photo in front of like the window that is the clock of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was in line for that. Great photo. We didn't get it, but
yeah,
it is a great photo.
Oh, we're not, I guess we're bad vloggers because we're not really the people who are like, let's wait in line for that cute photo moment. Oops.
It was cute though.
You want real people? This is the channel for you. If you're that person who's like, I'm not waiting in that line, we're that person too.
Yeah.
We're real life. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe. It really helps us out since we're just getting started. Then we wrapped up at Musée d'Orsay, and we had a little bit of time before our like entry time to the Louvre. So we just wandered around the garden outside of the Louvre. It's called the Tuileries, and it is
beautiful. There are fountains, statues all over the place.
Cafes,
yep.
merry-go-rounds.
Yep. There's merry-go-rounds everywhere in
Paris.
yeah.
France loves the merry-go-round. Also, when we say garden, it's like this huge, it's like a park.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's tons of green space in Paris. Lots of parks, even like the small ones, but they're all so well maintained. There's like security in all of them walking around, making sure nobody's messing up the parks. Like, they're so nice.
Yeah. Love Paris parks.
Very much part of the culture to just like go hang out in the park. Like, oh, I'm on my lunch break, I'm just gonna go sit in the park for a while.
Everyone's outside like all the time in Paris.
So once we finished up with the Tuileries, wandering around, we went and it was our time to go into the Louvre, one of the most probably well-known museums in the world, I would say. And that was an experience. You cannot see everything.
It's impossible.
We were there, how long were we there? Like 7 hours? 6 hours?
Something.
And I thought we had done really well.
And then they started closing.
Oh my god. We were almost night at the museum, you guys. They were like, the announcement started, they were like, you gotta go. And we were like, oh, okay, well, let's try to find the exit. And we like turn a corner and they're closing the gates down. We were like, okay, we'll go this other way. And there's us and this other group of people frantically like, where's the exit?
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then we stumbled upon this whole other part of the museum we hadn't even seen.
Yeah.
And we're just rushing past because they're like, you have to leave now. And we were like,
Yeah. But it was incredible. So much to see.
Oh yeah, the amount of history was so cool. I loved all of it. You know, we saw the Mona Lisa. We saw Venus de Milo.
We saw the crown jewels.
Oh yeah. And all of these like iconic pieces of art history.
Yeah.
And the building itself was like
absolutely
an exhibit on its own.
Louis XIV's apartment.
We went down to the bottom where you can see the remnants of, it used to be like a fortress, and you can see like the stone towers in the bottom of it. Great, we got an audio tour and that was so helpful.
Yeah, it was on kind of like a Game Boy. I don't play video games. So I don't know, but it was on something like that. So it showed you like a map of the museum and where you were and like where things were in relation to you. So it was super easy to navigate. And then when you were at something, you could like click on it and it would do the audio tour.
I always love like learning more than just like the sign says.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be, I mean, frankly, sometimes when you're in a museum that size, it can be completely overwhelming.
Yes.
So I find audio tours good for me because we can just sort of like look at things and then I stop at the audio tour.
Yeah.
Like things, because it's not one on everything. So I stop and listen to the audio tour and then I go to the next one and then I look at the other things on the way. It was incredible. I definitely feel like if you enjoy museums, I guess, then the Louvre, I feel like, is a must. Even if you don't, there's so much in there. There's gotta be something that you think is cool and worth the visit.
Totally worth it for me.
Yeah, me too.
So on the third day, we got up fairly early again, headed to the boulangerie, got our breakfast, and then we walked to the RER station, and we took the train to Versailles. It was a pretty quick train ride, like 15, 20 minutes maybe.
It might have been more like half hour. I don't know, it was tough because like I was just enjoying the countryside.
Yeah, the scenery as you are on the RER is gorgeous. Like, we saw a lot of Paris that we wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Totally.
And then you get to Versailles, and it's just a quick walk to the palace, and it is beautiful. It's all like, the gates are all like gilded in gold leaf and
Lots of gold.
yeah.
Lots of gold.
It was a
Opulence.
It was a pretty gray day when we were there, and it just made the gold like even brighter.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was cool. Versailles is sort of broken up into like the palace and the gardens. So we started in the palace, and we did an audio tour for that too. And that one's nice because Versailles has an app. So like before your trip, you can just download the app and download the audio guide for free.
Yeah, and then you don't have to pay for the audio tour while you're there.
Yeah, they have them there you can pay for, but we just downloaded it in advance, and so we just had the audio guide on our phone and did that through the house, and it was great. It was so interesting to walk through the different rooms of the palace. Different than I thought it was going to be.
I would agree with that. I'm not exactly sure what I was expecting, but it was different than I was expecting.
It was interesting to see the different areas, because the bottom level was like more private area, and then the second level was the more showy, like apartments and like the Hall of Mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting to see the like,
difference.
Yeah.
Because the downstairs was much more, I guess, modest in a way.
As a palace can be.
Yeah. Like, not modest, but compared to upstairs, much more modest.
Totally.
Both of us, our favorite room was the Hercules
Yeah.
room.
Yeah, with that big mural on the ceiling.
All of the ceilings, you have to look up while you're in France, because ceilings, we're not messing around.
Oh yeah, literally anywhere in France. Like the ceilings,
Are beautiful.
like just so crazy. And then once we were done wandering through the palace, then we went out to the gardens. And we specifically made sure that we were there on a fountain day. We really wanted to see the fountains in the gardens going. And they don't do that every day when you go to Versailles. So you need to like make sure when you book your tickets, if you want to go there on a fountain day, that it is a fountain day. I think it's usually like the weekends.
Yeah, and if you go first thing in the morning, it's really not too crowded. I didn't have a problem. Plus, the grounds are so big.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of other vlogs will tell you, like, don't go on the weekend because it's busy. And it is busy. But if you go early and you start in the palace and then you spend the rest of your day in the gardens, you'll be fine.
But the gardens of Versailles were so beautiful.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. And they keep them so well maintained. And they just go forever.
And there are like a million fountains.
Like we said, go on a fountain day. If you want to take my advice, go on a fountain day. Because seeing all of these fountains go was so cool. And like some are set to music.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. And they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And the gardens are so interesting because there's so many different sections to it. There's some that are like really well manicured, like hedge maze and like a gold ornate fountain, and then others are literally just like woods with trees.
Yeah.
So I think the Gardens of Versailles was one of the highlights of the trip for me.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth a day trip out to Versailles if you have the time while you're in Paris.
Completely. In fact, if I had to choose to go back to Versailles and only see either the gardens or the palace, I would choose the gardens.
We didn't get a chance to go to the Hamlet, which I think I would like to do next time.
Yes, I would too. It's also nice in the gardens because there's like cafes in the gardens of Versailles.
Oh, yeah.
So we went and we got a galette for lunch and that was good.
Very casual.
And then the heavens opened and we were caught in a huge downpour of rain.
It rained so hard that our umbrellas were leaking.
Oh yeah, we were like under the trees in the umbrella and it still is just like, we were soaked. But it was fun. We'll always have like, remember when we got caught in the rain in the gardens of the palace?
Yeah, it was really fun and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No, totally. And then after that, we were done at the gardens. We'd spent hours walking around, watching all the fountain shows, and we caught the RER back to Paris.
And we stopped at a little cafe. We were soaking wet, so we got some French onion soup.
Oh yeah, okay, so onion soup I'm confused about. Because in America, when we have French onion soup, it's really like dark brown and like really hearty.
Yeah.
But every time we got onion soup more than once while we were in France, and it wasn't that. It was much lighter. I mean, it was hearty. It was covered in like cheese and bread. But like, it was a much lighter color, and it wasn't nearly as like...
heavy.
Yeah, as like rich.
Yeah.
As onion soup is here. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, and a croque monsieur.
Which was also delicious.
One of my favorite things about going to France is that a meal can just be bread and cheese. And I'm so into that. No joke, walking down the street, more than once, you'll just see people walking and they just have like a baguette. And they're just like...
Yep.
Like just chomping on a baguette walking down the street.
Well, I don't blame them.
That's my life. I want that to be me. So the next morning, we got up, we went to Boulangerie Julien for a croissant. And then we actually went on a wild goose chase trying to find Eric Kaiser for another. So we ended up going to the Tuileries this morning for another croissant because I wanted 2 croissants and 2 cup of coffee. And I'm not going to apologize for it.
No.
And then after breakfast, we had a time to go see the Arc de Triomphe.
So we walked down the Champs-Élysées.
Champs-Élysées.
I knew it. Oh, and they were having like this gospel choir festival.
Oh, yeah.
Which was really fun. And then we climbed about 1.5 million stairs.
Oh, this is important to note. If you can't do stairs, some things in France will be difficult for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever climbed so many stairs in my life. I think we ate bread and cheese for every meal, and I think I lost weight.
Pro tip, wear comfortable shoes. I know you want to look cute in Paris, but make sure your feet are comfortable.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of walking, and it's mostly cobblestones. So make sure your feet are taken care of.
So we climb 10,000 stairs, and then we get to the top of the Arc de Triomphe, and that was so beautiful. Being out on the top and having these like views of Paris out and about. Well, and the Arc de Triomphe is in the middle of a giant roundabout, so like no matter which way you look, Paris just sort of like sprawls out in front of you.
You get a great look at the Eiffel Tower. You can even see Montmartre and Sacré-Cœur. You can see like the whole city from up there.
It's absolutely beautiful, and there's cool exhibits on the inside about like the history of the Arc de Triomphe, and on the outside.
And the stonework is insane.
Oh, the carvings are wild! And after the Arc de Triomphe, we climbed down 10,000 stairs.
That one was easier.
Yeah, going down's much easier. Oh, before I forget, so the Arc de Triomphe is in the middle of a roundabout. There's street surrounding it. To get to the Arc de Triomphe, there are tunnels. You go into the tunnel, under the street, and up to the center. Do not be all the people we saw just in everyone's way crossing the street.
Yeah.
There is no crosswalk. It is chained off, but people will jump over the chain and walk through the street to get to the center. Go through the tunnel like a quality person.
So after we took a little walk, and we went to lunch at Giraffe, which not too far from the Eiffel Tower. So, and most of the seating is outside on purpose. And you can get a great shot of the Eiffel Tower while you're sitting at lunch. And the food was amazing.
It was absolutely delicious. And Giraffe it's inside of a museum. I think the Museum of Humanities.
Oh, yeah, that's...
So it was a little hard for us to find when we got there because I didn't know it was inside of a museum. So the map was like, you're here. And I was like, I don't think we are. the food was so good.
Yeah.
The staff was great. Yeah, you're sitting on this patio, just like, and the Eiffel Tower is like, it's right here. And then after lunch, we had a bit of a break before our tour. We had booked a tour to take us to the Eiffel Tower. So we had a bit of a time to just wander around. We went to the Champs-Élysées, which is the park that leads up to the Eiffel Tower, and we just sat and enjoyed the scenery.
It was really nice. Like we said before, Parisians are like always outside in the park, so you were just surrounded by people enjoying time outside, and that's what we did too.
Yeah, and then we went to our tour, which was super fun. We booked a tour on Viator, but it was the same cost as it would have been to just book the ticket through the Eiffel Tower, but this way we got a guide. So while we were going through the Eiffel Tower and we got to go up to the summit, we got little history, things about the city. So I really loved it.
Yeah, it was great. Shout out to Justine.
Yeah, our tour guide Justine was great. And that's where we spent the evening. Once our tour was done, they just let us stay in the Eiffel Tower. We timed it perfectly, so we were there at sunset, which was so gorgeous.
Yeah, it was great.
And fun to start seeing all the lights come on, like in the city of Paris, to watch the lights in the city of lights.
Yeah. And then when the sun starts to go down, every hour on the hour, the Eiffel Tower does the like twinkly lights on the outside. So for the first one, we were still on the tower.
Yeah.
Which was cool too, because you could like see it happening on the tower.
Yeah, and you could hear all the people excited down below.
Yeah.
In the Champs-Élysées, they were all like, woo!
Yeah.
Every time it lit up. But I'll say, I didn't expect in the Eiffel Tower for there to be so much.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I knew there's 2 restaurants in there, which we didn't eat at because poor. But there's also like gift shops and like a cafe and like a chocolate shop. And there was a lot in there that I didn't expect to be there. We took the elevators instead of the stairs, which Jamie wasn't a fan of. She was very scared of those elevators.
They're so old.
I was fine.
I'm fine. It's fine.
Then we were done in the Eiffel Tower, looking around and buying souvenirs. We went down to the Champs-Élysées because we wanted to see the twinkly light
From the outside.
from outside, yeah. And so we did. It was fun. Just the energy of all the people. There's like street musicians and people selling things, food, wine. And then as soon as it lights up, everybody's like, woo!
And it lasts like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was so great. And then after that, we just walked back to our apartment.
Yeah.
Picked up another bottle of wine on the way. That's another thing I think nobody says about Paris, and I wasn't ready for. There's the metro, which will take you all over, which is the train system in Paris, but it is all so walkable.
Very walkable.
Where we were staying near the Louvre, it's recommended to take the metro to the Eiffel Tower in the 7th arrondissement, but we just walked. Everything was much closer than I thought it was going to be. Our first night, we went to Pont Neuf, which is a bridge right next to where our apartment was, and the Eiffel Tower was just like right over there. And I expected it to be really far away because I was told I had to take the train.
Which you can.
Yeah, I think the city's much more walkable than I anticipated.
Yeah. We expected to use the metro a lot more than we actually did. I
Yes.
think we only used it once?
Yeah, to and from Montmartre.
Yeah.
Another day in Parisian paradise, and we decided today to go explore Montmartre. So we went and caught the metro. This is the time we took the metro. So we took the metro up to Pigalle station in Montmartre, because it was that was a bit too far, I feel, to walk.
Yeah.
Montmartre is up on a hill, and it is, they're not joking around. I mean, we're talking like San Francisco hills.
Yeah, it's a big hill. Once you get out at Pigalle station, the Moulin Rouge is like right there. So we saw the Moulin Rouge. We didn't go in, but you can pay to do.
You can. Sorry. Go ahead.
You can pay to have like dinner and see a show at the Moulin Rouge. So we climbed the stairs because there's a lot of stairs.
More stairs.
And we took it up to Sacré-Cœur, which is a big basilica, like at the top of the hill up there. And there's a little park behind it that we just sat and had a little picnic lunch. We had sandwiches and
Oh yeah, we had stopped at
wine.
Boulangerie Julien to get lunch, and yeah, oh, just sitting in the park next to Sacré-Cœur. The sandwiches were good, the wine was delicious. And then we went into Sacré-Cœur. Off to the side, there's an entrance where you can pay, what was it, €7?
I think so.
To go up to the top, which is a lot of stairs.
But they have encouraging messages for you on the way up.
There's literally signs in these staircases that are like, keep going, you can do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, just a few steps left, because there's so many stairs.
But it's totally worth it if you don't have a problem with stairs. This is one of the things that if you can't do stairs, you won't be able to do this experience. But if you can do stairs, I highly recommend paying the €7 to go up there because it was incredible.
I would do it again.
Yeah.
I would pay to do it again.
Yeah. The views were stunning. Just to be like up in the top of this basilica was also incredible.
Yeah, it felt very, at the risk of sounding like cliche, I felt very like Quasimodo, because you're walking on like the roof of this church, and there's like gargoyles and statues and like, but you're walking on these staircases on the roof. And I was living my Quasimodo moment, my Quasi moment. It was it. It was so, and yeah, just beautiful. And because you're up on the hill and you're on the building on top of the hill, it was just like, Paris.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did we see Paris from any other level but
But the sky?
no.
No, I don't think so. Then we went down and we went into the church, which was absolutely beautiful. But I love an old church.
Yeah.
It's so
All
pretty.
the stained glass.
You do need to be respectful when you're in there. It is an active house of worship, so people are there going to church and praying and things like that. So just always remember to be respectful. And after walking around the cathedral for a bit, we went to Artist Square in Montmartre, which is exactly what it sounds like. There's a square with like cafes and stuff, but it's where all of these artists just sort of congregate.
Yeah. They're all just like doing art, selling art.
Yeah, we just walked in a circle. I don't know how many times we walked in a circle, just watching all these artists create and paint and chalk and pastels and pencil and
all different styles of art.
Yeah.
There were like caricatures, oil paintings. It was awesome.
Yeah, and we actually ended up buying a piece of art there that we love. It's hanging in the bedroom. I'll insert a picture of it right now, but I love it. And every morning I get to look at it and go,
yeah.
Ooh, and while we were in Artist Square, we got some glace, which is like ice cream in France. We got some glace citron, which
is lemon, if you couldn't piece together.
Yeah. It was so good.
It was so good.
This was a glass day,
Yeah.
right? Because right after, we went down and went...
Back to the Tuileries.
Yeah, to the Tuileries, and we got more glace
Yep.
at the Tuileries. And that was delicious as well.
Yep. Ice cream is my favorite dessert of all time, so anytime I can have ice cream, I will take advantage.
Yeah, well, and the ice cream was so fresh.
Yes.
It wasn't like sugared. It wasn't just like eating a scoop of sugar.
Yeah. So after that, we just kind of had like a park day. So we went to the Tuileries and we walked around, and then we walked around a little more in Paris, and we ended up at the Luxembourg Gardens. That was so much fun. We walked around. It's beautiful, for one. Fountains and
Medici fountain.
The Medici fountain. There you go. And there's like this big pond, and then there's these like tree-lined sidewalks with benches, and we just sat, and at the other end of the park there was a band playing.
Yeah.
So we just sat and listened to this band play.
I don't even know how long we just sat there.
A really long time. And then we also, while we were there, we watched this girl and her boyfriend take about 1 million Instagram photos. It was great.
So many photos. We love watching people who are like posting, like trying to get that perfect Instagram photo.
Yeah.
Forever they take these photos. You'll notice how haphazard our photos are that we put in these videos. Because I want to take a picture, but I also want to enjoy where I am.
Yeah.
Well, they're not that bad, right? I'm just not to that point yet where I'm willing to sacrifice my actual vacation for you. In the nicest way. I want to share, not work for you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Then when we decided it was time, we left the Jardin de Luxembourg and we just walked around.
Yeah, just meandered.
Yeah, I definitely feel that Paris is worth allotting time in your visit to just walk around.
Yeah, there's a lot to see.
Yeah, it sounds cliche, I guess, to like, go get lost in the city. But really though,
Yeah.
you know, just wandering around, there was so much to see, and some of my favorite times were just wandering.
And it's hard to get too lost.
Yeah, I feel like everything's so close to each other.
Yeah.
And then we went and grabbed dinner at a cafe that was just across the street from our apartment. It was called La Cooperative.
It was so good.
Oh, delicious food.
Yeah, and it was fun because every night at our apartment we would watch them like take the chairs in, which was a feat.
They'd stack like 7 chairs on top of each other and then just be like, well,
Yeah.
and just like haul these chairs in. Kudos to you guys.
So the next morning, after our same breakfast from Boulangerie Julien, we headed to Notre Dame. We obviously couldn't go in, unfortunately, because it's still under reconstruction after the fire. But just to be there was really awesome.
Yeah, it was again one of those moments that you're like, oh, I've seen that.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen that my whole life, but like now I'm there. I can't wait till the next time we go and we get to go in.
Yeah.
That'll be very exciting. We just sat outside. We had some macarons that we bought with breakfast, and they were delicious. And then after we visited Notre Dame, well, the outside of Notre Dame, we went to see Sainte-Chapelle.
It is beautiful inside there. So the outside is also extremely beautiful. And then you walk in. It's very interesting because the lower level was the chapel for like the servants and the staff, and it's beautiful, but not the photos that you see when you see photos of Sainte-Chapelle. And then you go upstairs and the entire room is all stained glass.
It's so shocking. You round the corner and then it's just all this colored light coming in from all of these windows. And it's so unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah.
I could have just stayed in there and looked at the windows for hours.
I think we were in there for quite some time.
Yeah.
The windows do tell the story of like the Bible.
In like chronological order.
Yeah.
So, and they had little like leaflets and like handouts if you wanted to like look up specific stories.
Yeah.
You could see. I was more interested in like the sheer beauty of it and like the artistic aspect of it.
Yeah. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, worth a visit for sure. And then right next to Sainte-Chapelle was the conciergerie.
And that was really interesting. So we had a time to go in there as well. I think it was like a dual ticket with Sainte-Chapelle.
Yeah, we booked them together.
And they gave you like a little iPad. You would like walk around and learn things through this iPad, and it would show you what it would have looked like in different periods through time.
They use like augmented reality, and you'd hold it up and it would be like, this is what the room would have looked like. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And you go find little like markers. It was sort of like a scavenger hunt,
Yeah.
kinda.
Yeah, it was cool. We liked it.
Yeah, when we finished we got a certificate.
Yeah.
Said like, you won, or like you found all the things.
Yeah.
It was cool.
But it's also where Marie Antoinette was imprisoned, and that was really interesting to see.
Because the conciergerie was a prison.
Yeah.
So there's obviously like a very dark history to the building. And it was so fascinating to learn about the conditions, and the word parlor comes from there because it was the room where inmates would talk to people on the outside, and parle is French for speak. So that's where the word parlor, like parlor in your house, comes from. We learned that.
I didn't remember that.
Oh yeah, it blew my mind. Apparently not on this one. But like Jamie said, it was where Marie Antoinette was in prison, and so they go into like her story and who she was, and then they go through, you know, the route that she was driven through the streets of Paris before they went to,
before they guillotined her. And I don't know if I was supposed to, but I did feel a little bad for her. It's not her fault she was born into royalty.
Right. Now, if you're a French person from the 1700s watching this and you have a problem with that, please let me know.
So, after the conciergerie, we just kind of meandered the city a little bit, and we stopped at this cute little cafe for lunch.
La Trois Cochons, with 3 little pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We sat just outside on the street, like you do in Paris, and I tried frog's legs.
Yes, Jamie got the frog's legs. And I got the boeuf bourguignon.
Yeah, they're delicious. They taste similar to chicken, well, like everyone says, but the texture is like between chicken and fish. They were good. I would recommend.
Totally.
So after lunch, we stopped at a little glass shop called Amarino, and they make your ice cream look like a flower.
Yeah, they were so pretty.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I thought because it looked like a flower, I thought it was like more style over substance before we ate it.
The flavors were so unique.
So good.
And so delicious.
The blood orange and ginger was my favorite.
We liked it so much we went there twice.
Yeah, we went there twice, same day. And then after we went and got glass at Amarino, we went and got another glass at a place down the street. Because they had a glass pomme verte. And I wanted to try, that's a green apple, so I wanted to try that. And it was so good.
It was good. If you have an issue with like texture, you might not like it. Because it's kind of like an applesaucey texture. Like grainy. I'm just warning. But it was really good.
And then once again, we just wandered. We walked around La Marais district. We saw Hotel de Ville.
Mm-hmm.
Some really cool old buildings.
So you can see like the timber frames of some buildings,
Yeah.
which was really cool. Kind of like storybook. And then we decided that for dinner we wanted to have just like a picnic on the Seine. So we walked to get banh mi at a little place called Street Banh Mi, and we picked up another bottle of wine.
A half bottle.
Yeah, a half bottle. We picked up a half bottle of wine.
The way you said it was like, can you believe how much wine we had?
No, I wish we'd had more.
Agreed.
So we picked up a half bottle of wine and banh mi's, and then we walked down to the Seine and just sat and had dinner and watched the boats go by. And
That was great. And the banh mi was delicious.
oh yeah, street banh mi.
And that was our last night in Paris.
The next day we got on the RER and headed to Disneyland Paris, but that'll be in another video.
We'll do a whole Disneyland Paris vlog.
So before you go to Paris, just a couple tips. Paris has a reputation of being mean. They're not. They're not. Parisian culture is very, very centered around etiquette. So if you walk into a store and you're greeted, the polite thing is to greet them back. They expect you to like respond to them, and if you don't, then they might be a little rude. They expect to be treated with respect, and you will be respected in return.
Right. Remember, etiquette is a French word. So it really is about like, I mean, before you go, educate yourself, one, on like, what's polite, which you should do anywhere you go when you're stepping into any different culture. At least for us, and hopefully if you want to travel the world too, you never want to be rude or offensive or rub somebody the wrong way or be disrespectful. Always make sure you're being polite. And like Jamie said, when you walk into a place, even just simply saying like bonjour when you walk into a place will be night and day the service that you can receive, because in France, sort of the rule is like, well, if you're not polite to me, I don't have to be to you.
Right.
Which is sort of how I wish we did it here.
And if you are worried about learning French, I would try and learn a few phrases, but most of the people do speak English, at least a little bit, so you can get by if you don't know a lot.
Yeah, if you stay in the city of Paris, it's such a major tourist destination, and it is the 21st century. So a lot of people are going to speak English. But even, again, just the little effort of learning some French can make a world of difference in letting people know that, one, you're willing to, like, appreciate their culture, and two, just that you understand that you're a visitor. Something else to keep in mind when you're going to Paris is what to pack. Now, this is something I think everyone sort of obsesses over when it comes to Paris. There's this real pressure to like, I'm going to Paris, what am I going to wear? Don't try too hard.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of people who were trying too hard. And that's fine if you want to live that fashion moment, I guess. But if you want to just go about your everyday, everyday life, a Parisian, think simple, basics.
Neutral.
Yeah. Slightly elevated, but not trying too hard.
Yeah.
And again, comfortable. You wear those comfortable shoes. You're gonna be walking around. You're gonna be sitting a lot in cafes, maybe on the metro. So just don't try too hard. Bring layers, but
It can get cool.
It can rain.
Yep, it rains a lot.
But don't worry too much about like some fashion vlogger saying, "Ooh, you're the worst dressed person because you didn't wear some haute couture."
Yeah. No, it's not like that.
No. In fact, to our detriment, we looked so Parisian that people kept like stopping us to ask us for directions to things, and I had to be like, I don't speak French, but I was flattered. I felt really cool. You know what I mean?
There were multiple times people thought Thomas was from France.
Well, you were with me.
Oh, I know.
They just assumed we were French.
I guess, maybe.
Just me. So it's just a little glimpse into our trip we took to France, some of the things that we loved that we did in Paris, some of the things we ate that we loved.
Oof, so much good food. So we hope this helped maybe you plan your upcoming trip to Paris.
Merci beaucoup for watching, 'cause French.
Right.
So until next time, keep on exploring. Oh, I wish I knew how to say that in French.